Now we are live. Welcome to the front row seat, everybody. I'm here again with our friend Pamela. She's come back today to give us an update, and here we are in a brand new year, 2025. And last year was just a whirlwind ride of growth and learning and faith planting and getting back up, growing and welcome, Pamela. It's so good to see you again. I always love our little talks here, and I'm so glad we get to do it again. So, how have you been? Tell us how you've been and uh, how the holidays. I was sending you good vibes because I knew that you were out in the world working with the people that were getting through the Christmas holidays, and I know that that was probably one heck of a sleigh ride going through that. But you
That's
did it.
awesome.
You did it, and I'm just so proud of you for getting through all that. You did it, and you're still doing it. So how you doing?
Well, hello, and thank you for having me again. Um, I just, it's necessary for me to say this again to you, um, just in deep gratitude for all of the work that you have done, which helps us on our path, and the impact that you have had is, I mean, I actually get emotional about it because it's really profound, and um, I look we genuinely appreciate it. The information that you share, the love that is within that, and the what how do I say it? Like no bones about it approach. You're just like you're doing it. Like, and I love that because the accountability is so important, right? Like you try to be gentle, but you're like, guys, especially at the level, like you get to a point where it's like, okay, you already know this. Do you know what I mean? And but it I think it I heard Tom saying the other day, I was listening to one, and he was like, you have to fail so many times before you actually, right? And
Yes.
that's and because I'm always about like getting it right. You got to get it done. 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 You should know this. Oh, you got to know this. Just like constant.
There's way more failure in doing this work than there is success. And those successes come in just little intervals where you can kind of, check your energy. It's like, oh, I feel a little better today. Yeah, this is getting better. My overall vibe is getting better. But this is the work that I have to do to change my whole being. That's because that's what you're doing. And, as energy
Yes.
systems, we have all of these, things within our being. And there's so much there, and we have so much power, but we have to fail to be able to move forward. And it's okay because it's not really that real out there. So it really doesn't matter anyway. All that matters is what's going on within us. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate your kind words. And I never thought that, I would be telling anybody else what I learned there. But I think that it just, it was just serendipity, how we got together and everything. And, if I can give back, you know, for all the help and all the wonderful care that I received from the MBT team. Because when I was going through it, I was face planting hard. I mean, I was face planting going like 20 foot down.
Yeah. It's brutal.
It is brutal. And it was just, Tom would kind of walk up, look over at me and go, wow, that hurts, I bet.
Oh my God.
And I was like, well, yeah. And it's like, well, you're doing it, in the kindest way he could say it, So, yeah, and we are doing it, and we're doing all of it. I've seen it. I've seen me do it. I've seen others do it, and we are doing it. So but we're also here to learn how to do it,
Right.
how to do it better.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
we live in
Okay.
a fearful world. This is where we're at
Mm-hmm.
as a collective.
Collective.
And it's where we're at. We're still in fear mode, so we're trying to work and evolve and grow out of it.
Ah,
It'll be relentless, and we'll build. I think that we'll get there, and and as we're pushing forward through this thing, and for some that aren't able to move right now, well, it's just coming in throwing tomatoes at everybody. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that, tomatoes work, when we feel pain and, it tends, it's almost like that. What is that? A cattle prod? It's like, come on.
Yeah.
And I think that's what cops really mean. It's like, all right, we haven't moved in a while, so let's get out the cow prod. That'll get them going.
Yeah, that's a good point. But what you just said a few moments ago, that's what we're here to do, is to, like, because right now, you're blurry now, but they pinched my head with the headphones, so sorry. Okay, so what you said was, like, we're here to learn how to do it. And that's such a beautiful thing, because that was one of my questions for you, is because I'm really learning a lot about myself, like how insanely insecure I am, how I really rely on the opinion of others to define me. Like, it's so crazy how true it is and how deep it goes. It's like it's an embedded program, And so
we all have different varying degrees. I have that one too. I totally understand what you're talking about.
And it's, and so starting to see the depths of it, but also coming into, like, and Carol and I are always laughing, because we're like, we look at each other and we're like, we're doing it. Like, we're doing it, right? Like, in the positive way, like, we're doing it, but also in the way of like, oh, we're doing it. Like, so if you can, like, elaborate on that, because there's some, it's okay. How does our avatar, like, interface into this reality? Like, the basic functions. Okay. So it's our senses and our emotions and that kind of stuff, but also, like, on a more elaborate level, so that I understand, because I'm learning to differentiate between what, like, everything I believe about myself is not even true.
Well,
right.
Being skeptical of yourself is the best thing we can do. Be skeptical of what what's coming to you, but also be very skeptical of yourself, because we can also trick ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, look at all these years, I believed that I was my thoughts, I was my emotions, right? Like, I literally didn't know that. So it's a huge awakening. And then I'm seeing, forcing myself to go into work and facing this stuff. And it's humiliating because I'm like, oh my God, you are a little nut job. And I'm like, you know what? I finally just say it out loud. I said, okay, I'm insanely insecure. I admit it. That's the truth. I'm like, and I'm so literal that you look at me and it's like, talk to me like I'm, because that's like, I'm so literal, like, and it's like, because when I was married, and I'm not, that's not Gary's responsibility. It's my process. But I was so used to taking orders, basically, in my perception of what was going on. It was, and so I just got used to that. And I didn't think for myself. Like, in some arenas I did, because, like, this kind of information, that's where I felt free. Right. Yeah. But everything else, like living in this reality, I'm like, no, you got to show me how to do this shit. Like, I don't know how to be here. Right. Even believing.
We've all been there. And
how did you
go ahead?
Well, that's, I guess, what would you say to, like, okay, so you've forged ahead on this path, and you've gone through some very heavy lifting, which it's such a beautiful gift for those of us that you are sharing that with. And at some point we'll be able to just, like, add so much power to the collective. And I'm so thankful. I want to be part of that movement,
You are. You're already doing it. The process is in the doing it, because as you said, those thoughts, those things, and what you're going through, that is all being added to the collective. And those thoughts have energy, and those thoughts have power. So every time you're thinking about, wait a minute, I'm insecure and I have this. Well, then that's letting the other parts of it. Well, I have that insecurity too. Well, it's okay. It's okay we have that because
Yes.
we all have it and it's okay. So what I can do is do my best to be my own guru and think for myself and and this is the path forward is what I'm doing. And it's coming into my own power and standing in that power. And it's a hard, it's much easier to hand that over to somebody else because it's just a lot. Yeah, it's like, would you take this for me? Because if I take it, somebody's going to attack me. Somebody's going to be mean to me if I take this. And I just don't want them to hurt me, And
Yes.
and that's what it is. As a collective, we are terrified of our own power. And it has been that way for a very long time, but that's what this time and process is for, is coming into that power and understanding, oh, it's us, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's free. Because now you don't need anybody else to move your life forward. Because when you're sitting around waiting for somebody else, I've done it too, Pamela. I have been here and I'm still there. I still have pieces of it. But it's like when you're waiting for someone to get your power back, and you have to wait for them. Well, then you got to wait for them to show up, and then you have to wait for this, and you have to wait for that. Then you start getting resentful. It's like, well, would you hurry up so I can feel my power? Yeah.
Well, and okay.
It's
so
funny.
It's very interesting,
Yes,
and
it is.
how the tendency, because of our experiences, right, to handing our power over to not such good people. They don't have good intentions.
They're not good choice makers.
Yes, I like that. I love how that, because it's like, yeah,
we want. Yeah.
And it's just not, it's where they are, but yet there's still, I can feel like this element of maliciousness in their vibe. Does that make sense?
Yes, we all have that in our vibe. Yes, we do. Unfortunately.
So it's like, okay, so that goes to another thing that I want to talk about. wanted to ask you about how, like, we better navigate with our avatar, use the tools available to us to process better, to understand how it affects our physicality, and also differentiating, because this one's a big one for me. My stuff from someone else's. Like, so because I was in the store during the holidays and stuff, and I've learned that there's a difference between being tired and drained for myself. Like, tired is like I'm physically tired. Drained is like I'm emotionally working on shit, and this is sucking the life out of me,
That's the deep stuff.
Not in a bad way, right? Because we're releasing like old stuff.
Yeah, we are going through it, and we get drained and depleted, and then once we kind of get a piece of it, then we kind of step back, and then we can go out and walk and do the things we need to recharge our avatar and keep it flowing with the energy like it needs to, which is flowing through us all the time. It's animating us, and so it's always there. It's never not there, because it's what's creating us, me and you, here in this place. And it's just a matter of while we're working, and usually that takes every piece of you when you're working on this and you're really moving through some of these really glitchy energetic places. It makes you kind of fall within yourself, and yes, it's draining, but then you'll come out of it, and then you can go have an Epsom salt bath, or you can listen to some nice music, think about the people you love, and there's so many ways to replenish and regroup, and getting good sleep and all of that good stuff that we all have to do. And you'll do it eventually, because as we get older, the avatar kind of starts running out of little energy, so you'll eventually get there and you'll do what you need to for yourself, but it takes time. And we're all learning, growing, and that was one of the things I was thinking about earlier this week, and I was really, you brought it up, is is how humans are not nice. The human species is not nice. And, but what we can be as a species is we can be kind and we can care about others. See, that's the difference. Being kind means that at your being level, you've worked through enough fear that you've come to a place where you can even, admit there's another there, but before that, when we have so much deep fear, we can't. We're inward focused and it's all about us. And we're just too scared. Can't do it.
Yeah.
And then as you start working in your process, then you can become a kind, caring person. But as far as being nice, yes, we have niceties when we're out in the society and we're interacting with each other. Yes. But when you're in like a relationship with others that go below the surface, right? Those relationships are not nice. They're messy when we get in there and we battle it out. But that's how we grow. That's how we help each other grow. We'll get knocked off balance and then we'll say something really not very nice. And then they'll ball it up and just throw it right back at us. It's like, oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? Like, but then we circle back. It's like, I apologize. I was not very nice. See, because we are not nice. This is a messy thing that we're doing, and it's a lot of work. So it does not make us nice. But what we want to do is evolve into kind and caring people, because that is what creates kind and caring communities. And we don't have that right now. We are in a fear-based culture, fear-based society, fear-based world. It just expands all out. You can look out from you and see it all over the place. And that's where we are right now. And until we go in and do this work, and then more and more people start doing it, we're going to stay right where we're at until we do the work the way I see it, and I like to see it as the universe is inside. It's not out there, because, they're starting to kind of prove it with science that there isn't an out there. It just appears like there is to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because that's one, like, going into work, and I've been reminding myself, well, first of all, breaking the negative patterns, right? And going, okay, you are not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, and you're certainly not.
You're the observer. You're when you really start getting your feet under you, then what I noticed is that I as we talked about listening and all that, but it really goes a little deeper, where you just become like this observer, where you're just kind of standing there, you're in a scene, and you're going, and as you progress forward, you start seeing, okay, what's actually happening here, and you're just observing it. You don't have any judgments. It's like, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, or that's why. Oh, yay, we're all going to be fine now. It's without judgment, just observing it. And as you observe, you'll find another place within yourself that is quiet and still. And because you're just observing, you're not there to do anything. But as you're in it, then you'll start getting these other things that kind of well up. It's like, oh, I see. That's how I feel about this. Because remember, it's just a reflection of you. And so as you observe that, it's like, oh, you'll start noticing the patterns in those experiences. It's like, oh, I know this one. This is the one where I get mad at that one because of this and that. And then, and then you get to work with it and change your responses, right? Because as you grow, then it's like, before you would just let it go all over you and explode into a volcano. But now, as you work through it, now you just go, oh, I feel that. Oh, but that's not what's happening. And then you can go over there and put your arm around that person and say, how you doing? Instead of attacking them, thinking that they're the problem in your world. And
right.
That's how you change that deep down in their being, because that's what we're changing. We're not doing this surface thing. That's not it.
Well, and it's because like when I go into work, I have to remind myself constantly, it's not them. This is you. And that's a big deal. Like, that's a really big deal. Like, I thought I knew that, right? I thought, and then when you go through another layer and you're like, whoa, 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 there's a lot more here. There's
Yes.
a lot more fear, because I'm always like, it's all about the beliefs of like, I literally have no value. I think we all have a piece of that one,
Yeah.
but at varying degrees, but it's like, it's really crystal clear. And it's like, I'm embarrassed of who I am. And I'm like, I have to constantly remind myself, those are beliefs. That is not the truth. That is a belief.
Yep.
And then, so it's like, it's different. So now, like, when with a significant other, like, I've been spending a little more time with my ex-husband, and there's a lot of
Learning.
yeah. And I
want
don't,
you. Yeah, I want you to. Yeah.
no, I appreciate that, because that is the truth, that it is a lot of learning. And I guess it's like, I really don't know me, right? So that's where I'm at. I'm some of the choices that I make, I'm not understanding why I'm making those choices. So that's where I feel like I feel like I'm getting my sea legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm just literally learning a little bit more about how this reality works, and how the information that I am interpreting
Yep.
is so shrouded by all of the experiences I've had, and my beliefs and my feelings. And so it's in that interpretation. And that's a huge piece.
I don't mean to interrupt, but how else
Mm-mm.
are you going to get in there at that being level and get rid of these beliefs that are not good for you? Because half of them aren't true anyway. So the way that you can get in there and get rid of those is watching your reality. It's like, okay, that keeps happening. Okay, that's because I believe that I have no value here. And
Mm-hmm.
what if that's not true? What if that's a belief I got from some of the situations and experiences that I had when I was young? Because when we're young, we're like a sponge and we're just taking it all in. And the way I kind of, look at it is like you've got everything your ancestors had before you. And so, whatever the dysfunction, the good parts, the bad parts, it's all there. And so as you start, really observing and doing this work, then you start to see just exactly what your beliefs are. And then you can just start letting them go. When one comes up, you just dispel it. It's like, oh, I know that's not true. That's not even true. And this is why, and as you keep doing that, then you will train yourself out of those, horrible belief systems. That's why all belief, it's all not good. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Seriously. And
Seriously.
like, that was your when you shared with us the that are like all of the stuff that we got from our ancestors and all of that stuff, and then you're like, and that really helped shift. I mean, it took a little bit for it actually to kind of assimilate or digest in our system, and it still is, because there's much more to get in there, but that helped us because it created less of an attachment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It helped me detach to a certain extent that, oh, wait a minute, that isn't me. We've been handed all of this stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not complaining, especially now. Like, it's like, this is why we're here. We literally came here to experience this stuff and to grow.
Yes.
So, I mean, and it can be obviously quite brutal.
Yeah.
But so
if it's not
like,
real, is it really brutal? I mean, it just made me seem like it does.
yeah, no, definitely. Because
Yeah.
the more I walk through it,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, the pain is okay. Let's go to this one.
Okay.
Like, okay, so our vehicles, our avatars, they store information, right? So how does that work? I mean, I understand it's a virtual reality, but how does that work because we have blockage, so the energy doesn't flow?
Well, it's all mind, right? It's all is mind.
Right.
So
Yeah.
within our mind, we have all of these things. And all of these beliefs, and that are those beliefs is a technology, and it creates things out in your reality, because what we believe is what we see. Whatever you believe, you're going to see, right?
Mhm.
And Tom had this one that I really liked, a metaphor about it. It's like, well, if you believe that when you die that Jesus is going to show up, and I'm not knocking any religion or anything, but we're doing it. See, our mind, we are all mind. We're all the same mind, but it appears we're pieces of it, right? So whatever you believe is going to manifest. And if you believe that, Hare Krishna is going to show up when you die, well, that's probably who you're going to see when you die. If you believe Jesus is going to be there, well, that's probably who you're going to see. But if you have no beliefs, like, well, I don't know what's going to happen when I die. And that would take, getting rid of the fear of death, right? It's like, well, I don't know who's going to be there when I die. This should be a heck of a ride from this one,
I am requesting Tom Campbell. That's the safest thing I know.
Well, we don't have to die to interact with him. We just go right over there.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
well, that's true. Listening to his videos and stuff. But I mean, like, see, this is the amazing stuff that I think helps to navigate through when you understand for lack of a better word, the logistics of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it does hurt. This place does have pain in it. And I finally just had to, drag it through my mind. It's like, this place has pain in it, and just accept it. That's a given. Then just move it out of the way. It's like, okay, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But, then you just start seeping in. It's like, well, okay, it's going to hurt. And there is pain here. But I can affect the suffering. I can relieve my own suffering by what I'm thinking and how I'm approaching this place. And the more positive I am, then that's going to help me not suffer as much. As long as I'm a victim of this place and it hurts, and oh my God, that's what brings on the suffering, is because of me and
right.
how I am dealing with it and not accepting what is real, and pain is real. And that is just something that's here. It's just part of it. And I struggled in this for a long time. I really did, because it's like, what kind of whatever would make something like this where, we're just being drugged through the sticker patch backwards by our heels. What would do that? And it's like, but wait a minute. What if, it is all is mine, and mine's creating it, and it knows that this place isn't even real. So
right.
It's not care if you're getting drugged backwards to the thing. It knows it's fake. It knows it's not real.
And it's so hard to separate that.
Oh, that's funny. That wasn't even. And so why would it care? It wouldn't. It wouldn't care. All it would care about is our growth and learning. That's what it would care about. And it's like, if it can sprinkle a little bit of pain on there to get you down the road, well, yeah, that's what it's going to do.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's such a good point.
You get the cattle prod or you get the carrot.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, that's such a good point, though, because, I mean, and I think that most of us do it, but I will just speak for myself, to avoid the pain. And, I just think of like raising my kids, and I realized, and I think I've shared this with you before, that what I was doing was I was trying to help them experience as little amount of pain as possible.
That's common.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I'm sorry I brought you here. It's my fault. Here, let me help you not suffer and have pain, because.
I mean, it's not like I catered to every whim or anything like that, but I did and I'm a female. So I did lean towards the emotional information, right? That's like my
Well, when
jam.
children are little, yes, there is a piece of that mothers do to help children cope with learning how to cope with pain and helping them understand. It's like, well, yeah, that hurt, didn't it? Well, you went outside without shoes on and it's ice on the ground. So yeah, that hurts your feet because they get cold.
Right.
Yeah. So it's letting them experience it and they're and then the parts that you can't save them from, you can't save them from it anyway, even if you try. Yeah.
Well, and it's like, and plus I didn't even understand how much pain that I was in, right? From
Right.
all of the experiences. So here unearthing all of this stuff within myself and seeing, all of the goods that are in my experience packet that,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And going, oh my God, it's fascinating first and foremost. It's like, it's just, I have to stop myself from pondering, like, why isn't there nothing? Why does anything exist? And I'm like, wow, stop. You're freaking me out.
I'm trying to get out of something again here. Uh-oh. Yeah. And then eventually you get, our age, in your 60s, and then you're just kind of like, this is just the way it is. Then you just accept it, it's just the way it is. And so
yeah.
I can't change the whole realm. All I can do is change myself, and you start getting on down that road. But I tell you, Pamela, you have been so courageous. And when I was taking those steps, you're doing way better than I did. I mean, not that it's competition, but I was falling down all over the place.
Oh no, if you saw me, you would be laughing your ass off. Cause you're like, oh, like, and I'm not picking on myself. I guess I kind of am a little bit, but I'm like, what a bumbling idiot. It's really true. And I'm like, oh, I got to get over it, man. I'm like, and then also, accepting where you are, like, that's a huge, huge thing that I'm like, it's like my thing right now is acceptance, appreciation, and allowance. Just accepting where I am, appreciating the effort I'm putting in, and allowing myself, because it's like, I'm confusing too. Like, I get excited and I'm like, and then I shut it down because I'm like, oh, you don't get to feel good. So
we do that. Yeah. Well, and it's that thing too. This is great. Okay, I'm out of all that bullshit. I'm out of it, and now I get to just be happy and have fun. And that's not reality, because you're gonna get through this piece, then it's gonna feel good for a while, but then the next piece is coming up, because it's a never-ending story, and it's a never-ending growth. And so you've got to keep moving forward to grow. But as you gain momentum in this thing, and then those lows are a lot less low. And then you start allowing yourself to feel good too when that shows up, and just letting it be what it is, and let your experience, be what it is, and that you're not doing anything wrong. Just being here and going through this isn't, you've suffered enough as it is. And so that's why, just take that, those good, thoughts and fold them in on yourself too. I'm doing this work, and my gosh, it just face plants me sometimes. So I'm going to lay off of Cheryl. I'm going to lay off of Pamela, and I'm going to be here with it. And yes, I don't think all good thoughts of myself all the time, but I'm getting there, and I will get there, because that's what I want to accomplish. See, you're doing it. You're just go and compare, our podcast, the very first one to even now, now you've got smiles on your face, and you're getting some teeth into it, as you move forward. And I tell you, you tell me about your job and you said, Cheryl, I don't know, I can't be authentic at work, I'll get fired.
Oh no, I catch myself sometimes saying things out loud. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
Don't say that.
That's not how it works. Don't do that.
Well,
like, seriously. And I'm like,
you didn't get fired, and you did the Christmas holidays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super like, ooh, but I mean, people are brutal. Like it's true.
Oh yeah.
And, but I'm like, I want to get to a place that I celebrate it. Like I'm not offended by it. Like
Well, it's about
that's,
them anyway.
yeah,
It's just where they
exactly.
are in their process. Yeah. Yeah.
It's going back to all of the stuff that I already know, right? Like that's pulling up something in me
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that needs to be checked and looked at and processed. And
Mm-hmm.
so okay, I think I'm shifting a little bit, but did you
Okay.
have any experiences where like you couldn't understand what the lesson was? Like you weren't getting to it?
Yes. And you don't have to worry about that either, because the mind will recant it and present it to you again. So you don't even have to worry about it if you don't get it. And then
Okay.
after it recans it and reformulates it and then makes your layer cake into a little different variant, it'll keep remaking it until you can see it.
Okay. So
Yep.
it's just really that practicing that patience. It's developing that patience and
Yes.
allowing it to be where it is. And when I have that ability to process it, it will show up.
It will show up. Yes. It will bring you what you're ready to have.
And see, I think that's a really big one too, is that whole acceptance again, because you want to be further along. And I'm like, no, this is why you're here, to be in this process.
Yes.
And I think that's a tough thing too, because
If it was perfect, then where are you going to go from there? So now you're stuck. Now your energy is going to get stagnant. And
Mhm.
when we get stagnant, that is the worst ever. You've had that, you've been stagnant before in your life. We hate that. We feel the best when we are climbing up that mountain doing a challenge.
Yeah, that's for sure. Oh, that's
We
so
feel the
true.
best
But
when we're in challenge. That's just
so,
reality. Because when we're in challenge, that's when we're moving forward and we're getting
mm,
and we're building that inner energy that is conducive to what you're trying to do and to move yourself forward, because the forward momentum is the goal. Really, we're not trying to
right.
build a paradise that we eventually arrive at. Okay, we've arrived here, now
Mhm.
what? See, so what you're
Yeah.
building is a good energy that as you move forward, you'll become, better equipped, better aware of what's going on. You'll understand what's happening. You're ready to, move forward and learn this new thing. And it's a challenge. And then you move forward. And then as you're moving forward, then you can like put your hand and reach back and grab some, and whoever wants to go with you and drag them up,
Yeah.
come on,
Love
let's
that.
go, and
Yeah.
I've got family members, and I have a nephew that he's been doing this, work since he was
Oh,
probably 15, 16. And he's getting
wow.
way out there ahead of it. And see, that's just the thing. The more we do it, the more everybody else is able to do it around us. Because
Yeah.
our vibration is not so wonky and chaotic that they can come in a little closer, and then they can feel, they can feel it
Mm,
when you love them. They can make those connections with you. But if you're not
okay.
moving, you're not going through your challenges and you're not moving forward, when they get near you, what they feel is icky vibes. And it's like, ooh, I've got
Mm-hmm.
enough of those myself. I don't think I need any more of
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so diving into that a little bit, but I mean, like the part where it's like keeping going forward. Because there were times just in the last couple of weeks where I was like, oh God, I'm I just literally had to just go, no, no, you are good. You're keeping going. You're keeping going. You don't know what the hell you're doing, but you're keeping going. And I just like, I find myself getting very, like, I hear people who are highly motivated and have a great sense of direction in their life. And I have a sense of, I don't know if the envious is the right word, because I don't want to be anybody else. I'm thankful to be me, which is kind of almost paradoxical to what it seems, the things that I say, but
You've got a great mind.
but it's like
Probably why you're doing as much as you are.
what?
You've got a great mind. That's probably why you're doing as much as you are. You've got a little piece of that balance with the right and left brain. You know, you still have, you know, you can connect into your intuition still, but you've also got that left piece too that keeps your boat from getting stranded in the middle of the ocean. You know, that's what happens to right brains, you know, when they're too right brain, they're too creative and they're just, whoa, you know, looking at the whole thing through that lens. It can be very, very distracting and it's hard to move forward because we need both. We need the right and the left in there in tandem. And you've got that. A lot of people don't. Most of the people I've met is they're either really logical and, you know, what's logical and intellect and logic. And when that's all you have, then you lose your heart. You become cold and rigid and, you know, but then that right over there, if you're too much in it, you know, you'll end up, you know, working at a carnival somewhere. See? You need the logic that goes, oh, but wait, you know, I need to do these other things that are more, you know, logical so that I can keep a roof over my head and do
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah,
you got a great one to work with. And
well, it's like that whole thing though. Because I've never been a grown up, that it's like, you know, I'm all my fears are showing
you
up.
raised
And
babies. You've been growing up. You've been
but,
adult.
well, okay, but it's like I have, but it's like, so having to provide for myself, like I'm so scared because like my alimony will be done after this year, and I'm just really, I started going back to school last year or whatever. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, what the hell are you going to do? And so that way I don't, and like, there's some people who are so driven and they have such a great direction. And I don't have a clue. And I haven't tapped into any gifts that I have. And so there's that, again, that part of me getting my footing, right? Learning about who I am. And also, because I'm like, so I'm like, okay, then I'm going to end up working 40 hours and I'm going to be exhausted, right? Because over the holiday season, I picked up way more hours, which I have no problem doing that. But I didn't do much of anything else. And I came home and I didn't really listen to any of the information or read or anything because I was just too tired, man. And because it's physical, I'm always moving. But so if I have to do that, I will, but I'm getting kind of discouraged about it, right? Because I feel like then that's my whole life and I don't want that. I want to, but then again, then I have that conversation with myself and I'm like, you create it, so you can be happy no matter what you're doing. And I'm like, shut the hell up. I don't want, right? I'm like, shut up, man. I want to do something else and I don't know what it is.
Well, what if you're doing it right now? What if you're doing what you like doing? And what if, you know, because here's one thing that, you know, you can think about is, you know, when you start going up in pay grade and going up in there, you get a much harder job. And that's what I learned when I went to college. I became a nurse and I was sitting there one day at the table and I was just, you know, hammered. I'd been working as a nurse for a few months and I was like, oh, all I did was went to school to get myself a really hard job.
Right.
And then I was stuck there, right? Because I can't switch now, you know? And so I had to work it all out, but I did. I found a place I could be where I wasn't in a hospital. I was a home health nurse, so I could move around and I could work a contract where I didn't have to take any more than what I wanted. And so I worked it out. But the thing about it is we also have this other ability that once you realize your power, that you can focus on what you want and help those things happen. But with that mindset that I don't have enough, my alimony is going to run out in a year and I'm going to be in a pickle. Those thoughts are going to bring you exactly that. And you probably know that. That's probably what's upsetting you. And you just let the fear go. And you have been taken care of all the way up to this point, and you're going to be taken care of. You know how to do that. You and your sister are working together on it, and things are going to work out okay. And everything's going to be all right. You're a smart woman. You're not out here, drifting around and angry all day long because you think the whole world's doing something to you that it's not. So you're way ahead of the game. And the way ahead of this mind game is just that, is going into your mind and knowing I have everything I need. I'm where I'm at because I need to be here, because I need these challenges. And maybe I'm just a really, really talented individual. And so I need bigger challenges. Maybe I've been here and done this before. Why do some people, it just seems like they just float through life so easy? It's like, well, number one, they probably know how this place works.
Yeah.
And they've grown a lot. And then there's others that just are really glitching through it, but they seem really smart. It's like, oh, well, maybe they put that there for themselves so they could evolve past where they were.
Right. Yeah.
We don't know, because we got the memory wipe and we can't look in there. See what it is,
Yeah, no, and that whole thing is see, and I get myself scared because I'm like, you don't know what you're capable of, right? Like, I don't know what, like, I have a great work ethic and stuff like that, but I'm like, I really don't want to be doing the physical stuff. And I'm inside, no windows, right? Fluorescent lighting, shit that drains you. And I'm like, I don't like that. But then I'm like, well, but you should be thankful you have this job, all of that crazy stuff. But that
shoulds and all that always comes out of
right. Yes. Oh, yes.
And it's like, it's like, okay, what I've been through in my life, I can do anything for a year or so. Yeah. And this is just a stepping stone. If that's not where you want to stay, you don't love it. And then just look around. It's like, well, what do I love? And it's just all part of getting to know who you are as a person.
Exactly.
What's in here? What floats this boat?
Exactly. That's what I was helping myself, reminding myself, just going, this is part of you learning about you.
Yeah. And you don't know, maybe you and your exes, you've learned and you've grown, and he's going, oh, okay, well, hey, I'm willing to feel some pain. If you are, let's do this. And you don't know, maybe y'all can build something together. You don't know.
We'll see about that one. You're right. I don't know. And that's the thing. It's letting go, accepting the uncertainty, and making, like stuff we've heard for a long time with Tom. It's like, it's making the best choice that you can, especially now. I'm far more aware, right? Even though the choice, it's what I have available at this time. So making that choice, and whatever happens from there happens. Allow, it's that letting go. And
yes,
that's a huge thing.
It's hard to let go of the fear. We've been taught since we showed up, you need to be scared of this, and you need to be scared of that, and you need to be scared of this, and
yeah.
And that was just one of the things that I learned in it. When I went through the crash course of Tom Campbell, and beat my head up against myself, like, oh my God, that hurt. But it was crash course. It's like, oh, that's who you are. That's where you're at. You're doing it. And, once I started, moving through that, well, basically nothing has worked out since then, but I'm okay and everything's all right. I learned so much. And, if that's the point of this place, I'm smashing it.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love it so much.
You're probably smashing it too. We just can't see it because we have all these ideas of what we're supposed to be and where we're supposed to be. So we may be smashing it and we don't even know it, at this point. It's starting to feel like we are smashing it, because I know one thing, as this place gets harder and the cattle prod's been coming out, I have seen more negativity around me, and I have seen it, and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to do that. And see, we know better. We know that if we just go with that collective, this is horrible, we know it's just going to make it worse.
Right.
So see, we're already ahead of the game. We're kind of going, okay, yeah, I see that's there. I get it. But I'm thinking it's there for a reason. It needs to be. So I'm just going to be as positive as I can, try to focus on what I need to, when I need to, and stay as positive as I can be. There's going to be times I don't feel positive, and I'm not feeling that way. And that's okay too, because when I'm struggling, I'm learning and I'm growing.
Yeah.
And when I'm not struggling, I'm outside building snowmans.
Oh my God, I love it.
We got snow in Texas today.
Yeah. That video, that was so cool that you sent that. Like, no, that was so beautiful. And I love the one where
not the answer. No.
It's so beautiful.
It just never snows here. And it put such a good vibe in there, because when it hypnotizes you as you watch it falling, it just puts you in that nice theta state, and I was just standing there going, ooh, this makes you sleepy. It's like, oh, it's so lovely.
Psychedelic.
Yeah. It was like that. Right? And I'm a right brain, so I can go right off into the never. Okay. And so I put that song on, and I was like, oh, this works good together. And I was like, I need to put something on front row seat. The holidays, everybody is just really hunkered down going, oh, this is hard. We got to pull this heavy sled up this thing, because everybody's trying to make Christmas nice for the children. They can't just go, oh, well, I don't feel like doing that this year. They can't. They have to do that, because the kids go down the street and all the other kids got toys and bikes, and they don't have nothing. I got a lump of coal. So yeah, we all have like a collective giant sigh of Christmas. And so I was focusing on the solstice, because I don't have kids, right? So I was like, okay, well, solstice, let's see, this would be harvest time. They made the beer back when and now they would be drinking. Not a lot, just now they would be celebrating. And yes, that's what I did instead. And then, as the other negative stuff around my Christmas address in my mind would come up, then I would work. And it's like, yeah, that happened. Yeah, that did. Well, you know what? And then just work through that process, that I do every time one of them comes up, if I can see what it is, and so, but there's sometimes we can't, and it's okay. So it just goes to show, this is probably just the reality game we're in, and it really has no bearing on what's going on in the inner world that we are really.
Okay, so there's two things, like the joy, right? Allowing yourself to feel the joy, just genuinely be that. And what you also said,
it helps you feel more positive. It's like, oh, I'm not scared right now. I have fear.
Yes.
Fear, but I'm not feeling it right now. So I'm gonna enjoy this piece of,
well, that's
snow.
Like how, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like, also you were
staying in the house because I hate this place. So I'm just gonna stay in here. Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna hide.
I'm gonna go get in my closet and sit there and cry.
Yeah.
Instead of going out and playing in the snow and getting snowballs and throwing them at people.
Yes.
See?
Seriously.
We get to
and what did you just say a moment ago? Oh, when it shows up, right? Then you work through it.
Yes.
And that's the thing. It's like I'm learning that I am go, 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 go. At work, whatever I'm doing, I'm like, get it done, get it, go, 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 go. And then with this kind of work, I'm like, go, 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 go. Nope, you got to learn this. You got to learn this. And I'm like, girl, you got to chill, man.
Girl.
Wow.
Wait,
seriously.
What am I doing here? Well, it's just, you've got I know a lot of people that are that way. I happen to not be like that. But that's where my weakness is, and it's called conscientious. You're a conscientious person. And those are the people that keep this place running. People like me don't. We distract everybody and nothing would get done if everybody was like me. But you're one of the people that keep this place moving, and they, like, for instance, here's the business, and then they do the same thing every day and it keeps the business running. They do these books and they do all these details and it keeps the thing going, right? And there is a place for artists and people like me too, when it gets too rigid and it's not helping or working, well, then the right brain can come in. I've got an idea for you. What do you think? So it takes both sides of that, and that conscientious piece, using it for your work and making your life is really great. And you just don't want to shine that conscientious light on this inner work all the time, because it's not a spreadsheet.
It's like I'm white knuckling it all the time. It's like, ugh, Christ.
I mean, yeah.
God.
And because you know how to do it at work, it's like, okay, I'm going here and I'm going to be doing this, and then you plan it out, and then you make the spreadsheet, and then you put the numbers and all the stuff in the spreadsheet, and then make it all work out, and that's what you're good at. And so, yeah, you're going to want to use the tools in your mind that you're good at, right? That just makes sense.
Right.
You haven't done anything wrong.
Right. No. And then I think that's an element of understanding how you operate, right?
Yes. You need to know if you're a creative, artistic right brain, or if you're more of left logical, conscientious.
Yeah.
If that's what you focus on the details all the time, and that's how you keep things rolling. Yeah, you really do need to know those things. And I think through life, we just kind of figure it out. If you're like covered up in tie-dye, you kind of know. And look at us. Look, it's almost like we're the left and right.
Did you do that one?
What?
Oh my gosh, did you do that one too?
Yeah.
That one's super cool too. I got to put my glasses on. Wow.
Yeah.
That is so good.
I love it.
What color did that start out as?
White.
What color did that start? Was it a basic white shirt, or was it
white shirt? And how you do them this way is you do them twice. I tied it, and then I put the color on, the blues and the pinks, put the color on, then I tie it again and then put black on it, just real thin. And then it does this kind of a muted tie-dye,
Yeah, but it's got that softer energy about it. It's vibrant yet soft.
It's not
so it's
tire.
Priceless, man. That's amazing.
Oh, it's so funny. And that's why it's so good that, when we kind of realize where we're at, and then we can see the value in different people that are different than us, because they, they have a completely different perspective. And when you look at it like, okay, they've got a different opinion than me, then they're wrong and I'm right. Instead of saying, well, what can I learn here? And maybe it's not I'm right and they're wrong. Maybe there is no polarity and it's just all shades of gray. Maybe it's just all of it. It's just all of it. And that's how, you can get past that once, because I was, I tended to beat myself up a little bit for being so crazy and right brain and artistic. And it was so hard to just do a regular job, it's like, it was so hard, but I learned how to do it. And I finally found the people that could help me. They were always the secretary in the office, because they were good at spreadsheets. And I would go, okay, what am I missing? What pieces do I need to get in here to make this all work? And they would tell me, okay, you're missing this note and this note. You need to get this in on this day.
Okay.
And so I learned where to get the help from. And so, and our artists of the world, it's got to have both in it. And that's one of the things, is loving where you're at and who you are and the way you are.
Oh,
it's
that's
so
huge.
hard.
And because that's the thing, because where I'm at now is that I have this, oh, I can just feel it. It's just like this deep belief that, well, one, I just don't belong anywhere because but it's like, I don't feel, I'm not seeing any of my abilities to interact in the reality that would
Okay, you raised
create it.
3 kids. I'm sorry.
Well, but I mean, for
Nice.
myself
I knew I
now,
couldn't do that. You raised 3 kids. You have awesome abilities. You raised 3 kids and none of them died. So you did great.
well, it's like now at this juncture in my life, going, okay, man, you really do have to be a grown up now. You don't have Gary to lean into, I mean, I still am to some degree, but, and not seeing what my capabilities are yet of how I'm able to do this and do it in a place of creating an income for myself to provide for myself in a space that nourishes also who I am. Does that make sense? Because I don't want to go into work every day hating it.
Right, right. And as you lean into the way you are, looking at those that type of work that is a really good fit for you, which is that left logical detail stuff, because you're really good at it. And that's where, if you just kind of start, and there's so many like computer jobs and things like that I think you would really like,
Oh man.
You don't have to know how to run the thing, because they will give you the information you need to do the specific work.
Okay, because I've learned that I'm literal. I'm not that logical. I'm serious. It's kind of crazy.
Well, once again, it's what you believe about yourself. And
oh no, the proof was in the pudding. Trust me.
Well,
I could go into work and they're like this. Is she for real? Because I'm like, no, tell me how to do this. Oh, okay. This popped in my head and I have to ask it because I don't want to forget. Okay. So this was happening a lot. And I don't know if I mentioned this to you before or not, but okay. So like I would look at information, right? And I was missing pieces that were right in front of me. Like someone would show, okay, this is what I'm looking for. I need you. Would you help me find this? Well, sure. And then I would miss, like, it was like, literally it was blocked. So I kind of correlated that to my perception. Like I don't have access to some information yet, right? Because I haven't grown to that place of awareness. I haven't.
So you taking in information? Was it you just be more of an auditory person, where you take information in through auditory, through speaking, like you and I are speaking right now. So this is speaking information. And people who are more visual would probably be better at that. So it may just be the style of information that you prefer to intake. So you would probably do better with the auditory information.
Okay, because I've learned that, like, there were words right in front of my face that, like, it was like I did not see.
You need a recorder.
And I was like, what the hell is that? Like that was like jarring to me, because I'm like, this is super basic stuff. This is very simple. Like, read the damn sentence, man. And I noticed that when I was in school. Like,
you're probably more auditory, and then they hand you a book. Okay, draw a picture of what what this is. And that's very difficult to do when you're more auditory and you take things in, verbally. And, then you've got this child over here, which would have been me. It's pictures. Like right now, when I'm speaking to you, I'm creating an image of what I'm talking about and then relaying it to you. See,
Okay.
so we all have these preferences for how we like our information coming to us. And it's not about you being dumb or any of that. We all have these preferences. And you can see people who are super, super good at the auditory thing. They're singers, and their work is auditory. They'll work in this forum, and you can see them. So what you do is you can just go in and find some tools that you can use for an auditory person. That's all it is.
Okay. So it's
Because
really
you could
just
use your phone. You could record stuff. I need to remember this.
yeah.
And you can just
Okay.
take auditory notes. That would help. Like if you
Okay.
read off a spreadsheet, okay, I need to go get this. Well, you could just make a note and then just put the verbal note in your phone. And then all it is how you're processing data. There are 3 channels. Well, there's more than 3, but 3 main ones is visual, which is you're making pictures, auditory, where you're making sounds, and kinesthetic. And those would be like your dancers, your performers that use their body, for perform. Those are kinesthetic people. It's more about feeling. So we all have these channels within us, but we have preferences that we like, that we use the most.
Okay. I feel like I have so much to understand about myself to actually function
Oh, we are
in
that
a healthy way.
library. Yeah. That
Uh,
saying, first of all, know thyself. You can spend a whole lifetime just on that, and
seriously.
yeah, it took me a long time. Talking to certain people, we just can't connect. I'm so visual. They're so, auditory, which you can do. I can translate now, but I used to be terrible at translating, and so they would be auditory. I was visual. I'm trying to give them a picture that they can understand visually, and they couldn't. And they were like, what? Sure, you're just skipping around all over the place. What do you mean, Cheryl? And I wasn't skipping around. I was describing the picture of what I was seeing in my mind.
Okay.
And so it's like, okay, we can't. And this is the way me and my mother was. She was very auditory and I was very visual. So I'm making pictures, trying to, well, Mom, it's this, and she's going, huh? And we just couldn't get each other. We couldn't get to the same page to understand each other. She thought that she used to call me an alien. I was born in Roswell, so I give her that, right?
Yeah. That's
and she called
awesome.
me an alien, and I thought she was from another planet too, so, but now I know what's going on, and I try to refrain from building pictures and explaining the picture to her. I just try to give her the auditory and the simple nuts and bolts. Mom, I have this blanket. I'm going to cover up with it, instead of going, oh yeah, there's this big fluffy thing and it's got fringe on the end of it, and describing anything visually, because she could not take the information in like that. And I think this is what happens with a lot of parents and children, where they're just not on the same page. This whole study is called NLP. You've probably heard of it. NLP, and it's a whole study on how we take in information. And
okay,
I didn't learn this about my mom till just a couple years ago. And then once I figured, I went, oh my God, she wasn't doing nothing to me. It was, we couldn't communicate. It was like,
right.
Oh, I think everybody needs to take the NLP class so you can know thyself better.
Yeah.
And then when you're in the presence of someone who is all visual, then you can make a picture for them that they can understand better, what you're trying, the information you're trying to convey. Because we're always in this process of we're translating data. We're getting a data stream, we're translating it and then giving it to the other person, and vice versa. You've got the sender and receiver, and it's like playing volleyball. Well, if you got 2 people that are on 2 different channels, well, all the balls are going to fall. And it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're just mean, and go away. And yeah, then you get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be it. So if you look at NLP and and you can look in there and see if you are an auditory, visual, kinesthetic, and we all can have all three and have little pieces of it, but we usually have a system that we prefer.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm already tired. There's
Yeah, well,
so much.
I know it's just so much, and I know you're tired. But
No.
that. It's really easy to look at. You don't have to like. It's way easier than looking into Tom Campbell stuff.
Oh my God. No, I'm kidding. I'm just like, I think I'm just scared. I'm just scared. Um,
We'll rip that fear out by the root.
oh yeah, neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have heard of that, but I have not looked into it. I think I have a book on that.
So
Definitely have to look into it.
you're not a dummy. None of us are. We're just in this soup going, is this alphabet soup or is this mushroom soup? What is it? What kind of soup is this? What is all this? Why is it
Yeah.
snowing in Texas? What's going on? Well, I think we can stop here. We don't, so we can. I think that the things we touched on today it's really dear and close to my heart, and the growing process is something I've been working on for a while, and I'll continue to do. And I tell you, I'm still face planting just like all the rest of everybody else is, but it's okay. It's okay. We're moving forward in this thing, and there's some good things coming up here. This next week's going to be real interesting. So we should talk again soon and share what we've discovered. And so say toodles to everybody, and thank you for coming by and listening to us, talk around these subjects. We really enjoy it.
Yeah. And thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome, Pam. And I really appreciate you coming and doing this, for us and everybody else. And you're doing your part too. And we'll just keep doing it and see what happens, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody have a good one.
Thank you so much. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.